Okay, I'm gonna just put this up. Okay, so now the meeting will be called to order at 6:32 p.m. on the 28th of October, 2021. And I would like to, I guess we can go in order. There's only 5 or so of us on the call so far. That's what happens when you start right on the nose with most of the meetings. Now people are texting me.
So, yeah, so let me share the screen, please. And I have a
With the agenda.
with the agenda, and then there's a notice on the agenda. So let me do that.
Well, I pretty much know the Board of Neighborhood Commissioner notice.
Am I just sharing the wrong thing? I am. This is not good.
Well, in the meantime, while Laura's pulling up the agenda, I believe the notice she's speaking of is the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners regarding one of the assembly bills, and in regards to meeting via Zoom or virtually still due to the pandemic risk. So
Yeah.
I was gonna say something was there, but it went
I
away.
know, but I was pulling up 2 things at once. I'm apologizing, but I suddenly saw, at least on my end, stuff that you didn't need to see. A gravestone of somebody who's been deceased for half a century. So
we definitely didn't
as well as they, so this is much better. Can you see can you see the agenda now? Thank you.
Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see it, but
Okay.
I pretty much had that agenda memorized in my head by
Yes,
now.
I know. You were doing great. Sorry, I was the one in error here.
Okay. Well, everyone, there's the determination made by the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners regarding AB 361 in regards to meeting virtually continually until notified, I guess,
Correct.
of the risk factors and the health and safety of attendees if we were to meet in person. Now, so this is so sporadic across the board, but I guess for us, for neighborhood councils, this is what it is for now. But throughout the state of California, this is not a consistent thing. A lot of people are meeting in person still, and a lot of people aren't. So I guess it's discretionary depending on the organization or the owner of whatever entity that's meeting.
Well, if I may, Tori, one of the things they're concerned about in terms of presenting imminent risk to the safety of attendees, it also revolves a little bit around neighborhood council board members being in the position of trying to enforce masking or proof of vaccination or anything like that. So, you know, that they don't want us to be the people who, you know, could be physically harmed if somebody, you know, goes off on that. So it's a combination of safety from COVID and safety from other people, apparently.
Well, interesting enough. That's what it is. We've already called the meeting to order. So right now, I'd like to have any people who would wish to make any public comments. You have 1 to 2 minutes per speaker, and it has to be anything that's not on the agenda to be discussed. Any hands? I see Jesus.
Just going along with what we were talking about with meeting, I just wonder, I like these Zoom meetings. I'm able to be at most of the meetings because they are Zoom meetings. So I vote to keep it this way.
Well, I'm not commenting on that. Go ahead, public comment. Paula. Any more hands?
Donna has her hand up.
Yeah, I see Donna. Go ahead, Donna.
I agree. We should have the option of having both, even when we do start in-person meetings, because a lot of people can come that wouldn't be able to probably drive anywhere or get someplace by the 6:30 hour. This is great because they still have the option of attending. So I'm with Giza.
Okay. Okay, you have to moderate your hand. everyone, you have to raise and lower. Uh, that's one thing we haven't perfected yet for me to be able to control that, or Laura. Okay.
well,
I see two more hands up, Laura.
Well, I will just, we're not supposed to really be having a discussion in general public remarks, but there seems to be, again, at the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, some discussion about can the committees stay on Zoom even as we go forward, and just not the, board meetings. But I don't know how that's feasible and still have us be real committees that are subject to the Brown Act. So anyway, but
Well,
that's I mean, in other words, it's not within our control.
right.
So
Right. So all we do is wait and see and wait for directives.
yep. Okay. So Vanessa's not yet here, Tori.
That's okay. We're a little ahead of schedule. Normally the speaker doesn't speak until about 7:15. So
Yeah, I understand. So I guess I should point out that the other nuance that maybe in a way have more effect on us than this monthly resolution that Bonk has to keep readopting, the other change in the Brown Act per AB 361 is that we should no longer put print times on the agendas, because to the extent that you do, you have to actually stick to it. So for example, if we put 10 minutes for public comment, which we did not, but if we had, we would have to sit here until the whole 10 minutes is up before moving on to the next item. So we're still trying to figure out what happens if the meeting ends sooner than you expected. So for example, we had a special board meeting earlier this week, and we had said it's from 8 to 9. And by some miracle, we were actually finished at 5 of 9. And I just had to, I know, UNNC board, think about it. We were finished 5 minutes early, as you know, and I had to stay till 9 o'clock, stay online on Zoom until 9 o'clock, just in case a member of the public saw that we were going to be there till 9. So we're still trying to figure that out. But I'm guessing that if we're finished with public comments at 20 of 7, and we don't have our speaker here, we should move on to the number 5 round robin discussion and then come back to our speaker.
Well, hopefully she's still coming. I hadn't had a chance to go through all of my emails. If there's anything different, I sent out the agenda again, just in case, she didn't have it, and have access to wherever she is or whatever. And
I'm losing track. Which Vanessa is it that is coming?
What do you mean, which? I
have a million Vanessas in my email. Oh, Gutierrez. Let me see if I've ever emailed her. While you conduct your meeting, I'll try and reach out to her.
Oh, okay. Okay. You see where she is. But I've done that, but who knows what happens with electronics. But for everyone, as far as public comment, we don't usually have discussion during public comment. It's just since we're on this laxed assembly bill now, right. we have no time constraint. We don't, and usually I monitor that time and we're on point on that time every time. I mean, if public comment ended, of course we would move on, but we still would stay on track and end on time and everything to the T for the most part. So right now we'll just free flow, since that's how they've set it up now, but I pretty much know our time, constraints or time allotted that we've had in the past. So anything beyond public comments,
I think you can move to the item 5 round robin and just wait for her to come.
Laura, I was just going to say, what's the hot topics, which is round robin more or less, that anybody's heard or seen regarding homelessness lately in the news or anything like that, or concerns or areas you want to help with, because there's plenty to do. Can we hear it? Let's hear Jisa or how,
Can you
let me
go
ask
over some of
Paula
the
what
areas?
at her. Go ahead.
Can you go over some of the areas of things that you need done?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm trying to be in the middle of getting a little one of those cargo little bitty bitty transportation cars, so I stop putting all this stuff in my car. So that's one thing I'm looking into. I found one I like, but it's way in Riverside. But I have a friend who live out there, so they supposed to check it out for me and see what's what, because I'm like, enough of this. And I'm so used to having a bigger car and an SUV that I've gotten into that habit of taking things for people. And somebody called me this morning and say, "Oh, I have a lot of women suited. They going on job interviews, etc. Can anybody pick them up?" I'm like, "Oh Lord, I don't think my car can take another thing right now." So somebody donated about a dozen pair of shoes day before yesterday. So I did pick those up, and I set them up like a little store at the Project Room Key and let anybody go shop like they shopping and pick out and get the ones they wanted. And so I took pictures of all their little feet trying on the shoes. It was so cute. They were so excited. I was like, "Oh, this is like going to the mall." So, so they were really excited about that. So I mean, there's always something to do. Like if I can't pick up something, or somebody else can pick up something, or I don't know. But beyond that, what we're going to talk about today is the homeless count that's coming up, and it's going to be totally different from what we had done in the past. I don't know how many of you have actually gone out with us before, but it's actually pretty purposeful and engaging. But it's funny that I said at the last in-person count we had, I said, "Look, enough of counting all these people. Let's count some places for them to live." So, and then all of a sudden, we're in this pandemic. We can't go out and count like we had in the past. So now they've come up with another method. And that's what Vanessa was supposed to talk about tonight, or is going to talk about tonight. We're going to not write her off yet, because usually I tell them about 7. But we'll see. If she doesn't come, then I will continue to have that conversation and tell you about some of the things I've talked to them about already and what we had done in the past. Matter of fact, Donna, is Donna still here? I see
She
a couple
is,
of hands.
but Jason and then I have our hands raised.
Oh, okay, because all I see is 2 hands, right?
Yeah.
So no names next to them.
Jisa
Okay,
and then Laura.
Okay, Jisa and Laura.
Tori, do you have the dates for the homeless count? Is it like over a week or?
No, it's always 3 days, and
Okay.
ours is January 27th, 2022.
January
So
27th?
I don't know if the other cities are before us or after us. We're usually the last day. We're usually on a Thursday.
Okay, great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And Laura's hand is up. Just to say, worst case scenario, I actually downloaded a LASA presentation from about a week and a half ago on the homeless count. So I can show it if we have to. But it's more about the technology than it is about anything else.
And it does say 2022 count, right?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, it's the right year. It's just, it was maybe a technical, it was a technical presentation. So but it's better than 0, if she doesn't.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And yeah, and that was one of the plans she had decided to do too, is show. So that would be great to fill in that time.
Did you want me?
Yes, I did. I wanted you to share any experiences you've had with the homeless count. Did you come over, or have you participated in the past?
Never.
Well, is that going to change? Look,
I'm sorry, never.
Is that ever going to change? Uh-oh, look. See, you never can say never, Donna.
never going to change.
Now you see how you have to twist volunteers' arms? That's one of them. But usually I don't have to twist any arms. We average about 200 volunteers every time. And so what it is, but that's some of the encounters that you may come across when you ask people. I just wanted to let you experience that example. But
Congratulations.
Hey, and
That's all right.
Tori Paula has her hand up.
Yeah, I see Paula's, but I just wanted to finish the statement about volunteerism. We just have to really get people involved. So I don't know how they're going to set it up where we can pre-register people like we normally do. And that's how I usually end up with the 200, because I can start early and start plugging people in. And then so we'll have to see how that's going to be set up electronically. Yes, Paula?
I participated in the last
Uh-oh.
and we met at Tori's church, and there were a lot of people there. It was organized. We were all given. We grouped up, and then we were all given. It's computer.
Yeah.
Is that any better?
That's better.
Got a little closer. Okay. So there was a great amount of people there. We were asked to kind of, buddy up. So people just, basically grab the people that they were sitting near. And then we had to decide, how we were going to go. But we had a driver, and there were 4 of us in the car. And we were given our area to survey. And it was, if you see a homeless area, you see if you can count the people. Don't engage them, don't go up to them, just count. And it actually went very smoothly. Much to my surprise, we were done in no time at all, because the area we were given, it was around us, new entry school. There were some encampments on Jefferson, but not necessarily in the neighborhood. So we didn't see a whole lot, but we did do the count. And was one person in charge of recording the count. And then we turned our stuff in, and that was it. It went very quickly.
Yes. And so thank you for that, Paula. But a lot of times, like if her team finished and it was only like 10:30, 11 o'clock, I asked other teams would they like to take more maps and go back out. And sometimes they would say yes with the same team they had, or if somebody had to leave early, then that person leave early and somebody else ride with them. So it's very flexible. And that's how we end up getting our 100% of our count every year, is because some teams will say, oh yeah, that was fun. Pardon me?
Yeah, we did. We came in early, and Tori said, can somebody go back out? And of our 4, I think 2 said yes. I was not one of them. And and so they went back out. I ran picked up, told her what time to be there, and I was ready. But yeah, it went well. People were very willing to get the.
You're breaking up a little again. Say that last sentence again, Paula.
No, I just said it was
Okay.
Uh-oh, keep freezing. Did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't hear it again, but go ahead.
I said it was well done. And Laura has her hand up.
Yeah, okay, I can see Laura. Go ahead, Laura.
Well, I was just going to say, I quickly just ran through that presentation, which again, I can share, I don't know how long we want to wait, but it does appear they're going to be doing it quite differently this year.
Oh yeah, it's quite different. But we can start the video at 7. But I'm missing Hugh tonight. Is Hugh here?
Yep.
Oh, okay, because let me see. I can't see who's here. And who is
He's
it?
here. He's
Ah,
quiet.
yes. Hi, Hugh.
Hey,
Hugh, do
He's
you have
here
any
since
experiences in the
the
count?
beginning.
I went out with a group in the car. We covered a couple of different maps. We went back and got some more, and went back out again. Um, just the same as I had done when I was in San Diego.
Ah, okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, hopefully we'll continue to volunteer regardless of the format or process that they actually come up with this time. They called me and we did some brainstorming of what possibly could occur. But again, I don't even know if, well, hopefully by January, our church parking lot can be utilized, whether we use the hall or not, or whether or not we go inside. I don't know, but I know that it's a different process. Once we look at the video at 7, then we'll be able to discuss it further. And remember that we do have some input as to how the process will make sense post-pandemic, hopefully. And hopefully we'll be less than 50% or whatever the criteria is for CDC to open everything up in totality. So we'll see. And we still will use our discretion and use our mask or whatever we need to do to be safe. But after we watch the video and make that determination. In the meantime, Hugh and Paula, um, it's really fun, Lisa, and it's all about the camaraderie that you have within the car and the collaboration of working together in your different roles. There's usually 3 different roles: the navigator, the driver, and the counter. And then you have that 4th person sometime. If there's a a discrepancy on one person has 9 people, one person has 10, one person has 1/10, one person has 0, then there's a person to break that um, and concur which one was actually valid, so that your sheets are as accurate as possible when they're brought back in to tally and bring the information back to the agency so they can put it all together state, um, well, city and county wide in our case, to come up with the best numbers that could possibly be for accuracy purposes. So we know what resources are needed and what resources, can be allocated to our area. So that's the whole purpose of the count. And so this year is probably the most activity I've actually seen of them actually moving into their permanent housing. Before they was telling us, they was saying things, but I didn't never actually see it for myself.
Mhm.
So now I got into that world further and I'm able to see exactly the process of how they're getting their housing. They're paying for them for 1 year. They're getting their furniture or whatever they put on their wish list. There's a wish list of what they may need. Because mind you, some of the homeless have worked before. Some have had their own places before. Some of them have storages. Some have things, so they may not need a couch. They may not need a toaster. They may not need a microwave. So they have a little wish list that they work from, and they provide them with a allocated dollar amount to go shopping for what their apartment may need. So it's actually a pretty nice process right now. But I see there's some gaps in the system as far as those who I see are not capable of living on their own. There's and I'll give you those examples after we watch the video. Okay, so well, I can probably give you one right now. It's 6:56. But there's I'll give you an example. One young lady, she's about in her 70s or so, but she has sporadic moments where she'll walk up and down and talk to herself and blah 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 blah. But when you ask her a direct question, she's always on point. And she always can have that conversation. She can always answer you. So I said, So I came to the conclusion this is a survival mechanism that she's using to do this, to make people think she's crazy, so they leave her alone, especially a female. And she's tall. She's like a model, tall, and she just very nice personality. Her voice is really, oh God, when she laughs, she makes me laugh because it's so funny. But so it's just you have to analyze the situations and say, but I still don't think she can live by herself, like as far as cooking and things like that. So it's good that they're getting these permanent housings, but they need to analyze and give them resources up front before they assign these individuals to individual places, in certain cases. And I see about 5 out of the 54 or so that we work with. So that's just one of my observations as far as the placement of this permanent housing situation. So I went to visit one up north, and they had the little tiny homes on these lots I probably mentioned before, but they had a community room, where the community room is where they had a chef to cook the food. And you can still, because right now in Project Rumkey, they're used to getting 3 meals a day. They don't have to cook, unless they want to. A lot of them do not take the food, and they get their own food because some of them work. And so it depends. But I'm just saying, as far as cooking and being in your own place, there's about 4 or 5 of them I don't think have that capacity. So Laura, we can go ahead and start the video. We'll look at that and we can continue the conversation afterwards.
Sure. So what I have is a 1 minute or maybe 1 minute 30-second video that's sort of a promo, and then I actually have the PowerPoint presentation that was presented to somebody at the City of LA. That's what I'm saying. I have a technical presentation for how it's going to go. So that will have to, if Vanessa doesn't show up in the next few minutes, we'll have to kind of read between some of the lines, but let me share the video first. And it's always a little difficult, so sorry about that. But
Los Angeles Homeless Count is returning January 25th to 27th, 2022. We're looking forward to 2022. We're looking forward to hosting volunteers across the county to help us count our neighbors experiencing homelessness. Every year, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority leads the process of counting our unsheltered homeless neighbors over 3 nights in January. Our volunteers count individuals, vehicles, tents, and makeshift shelters. Government agencies, including LASA, use the data collected during the count to develop strategies to end homelessness and determine where funding and resources will do the most good. While we didn't host a homeless count last year, we've used that time to make some improvements on how we count our unsheltered neighbors. This year, we are replacing paper tally sheets with the new Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count app. This will improve our data gathering and quality assurance processes during the upcoming street count. In light of COVID-19, we will also take every precaution to ensure the count is conducted in accordance with current Department of Public Health guidelines. Every year, over 8,000 community members participate in the Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count. We cannot have a successful count without you, our volunteers and partners. Registration to participate in the street count will open on October 7th. Please help us make the 2022 Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count the best one yet by registering to volunteer at theycountwillyou.org.
Oops, hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, so just hang on a second. I'm gonna turn off. The sound is still on. Sorry. And then, yeah, now I'm all good. It's quiet. And then I can share this presentation. I still don't see Vanessa. And just again, I need to look for it. I don't have very much open, but of course,
Oh, while you doing that, yeah,
There.
Vanessa. Okay, there we go. You want
Right.
to expand the screen, Laura?
I'm sorry?
Expand the screen.
Yes, I can do that. So now noting I can only see my computer. I can't see the Zoom anymore. So is that big enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so again, this was a presentation to somebody somewhere, and this was just the this is the agenda, and I'm going to click through it till it looks like it's something we might understand. So we're not going to hear from Heidi. We're not going to see, we just saw the promotional homeless count video. And then there was a presentation from Aikido Labs, which is the entity that's developed the mobile device material. So that's not me, I don't think.
No, that was me.
I'm hearing background. So anyway, they've done a mobile application for the volunteers. So I understand from this is that the volunteers with smartphones will be able to download that application to their phone to do the count.
Right. And so that'll 9 times out of 10 be the navigator role in the car.
Right. And then there's a web, and so none of us are going to be administrators. So preparing for the night of the count, obviously the safety of the volunteers is really, and staff is very important, and preparing for the successful transition to a digital count. And then they said thank you, and we're moving on. Yeah, just sorry. No, I mean, I was just glad I found this. So in 2021, a waiver was given due to COVID-19, and they did not do the count, as we've already discussed.
Well, they did something. It was not comparable to the years past.
Right. They counted at shelters. I mean, I can see this, and they did a housing inventory count. But they weren't, but they didn't do 8,000 volunteers spreading out across Los Angeles.
Not at all. Yeah,
Right.
but I got my wish. I guess I've got to watch what I say. Because they did the housing count. And, you know, they keep harping on there's a housing shortage. There's not. There's plenty of places around here. And like they're doing with the hotels and everything. There's another hotel that just went out of business in Century City. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be negotiated with our city. Unfortunately, in our council district, we have a gap right now, and so we just have to wait and see what the outcome of that is, and see how we're going to have some support in this endeavor. But I'm sure by December we'll know something, or mid-November, hopefully, or what's going to happen so we can move forward. But Mark, as supervisor, was always instrumental in sending me some volunteers. And so that was a big help too, because they would go to the dense park areas that I did not send teams out to for the most part. And so we would send them to like the highways and the underpasses and the overpasses and things like that they were already familiar with. And then a lot of the students at SC in different places would come as well. So, but usually when they hear about the count and they need their credits for school, their hours or what have you, they are there. So that's a lot of times how we ended up with our 200 and so volunteers as well. So we just got to hope for the best and see how we're going to end up actually physically doing this particular count without congregating inside.
Right.
So they're just talking about using a parking lot. So if anybody sees a parking lot, I'm planning on using ours again. But if not, by chance or whatever, which I'm not anticipating that, but just in case, if we see any vacant lots or church lots that we can keep that in mind too, so I can have them for backup, just in case. Because we do have a new senior pastor that has not experienced the homeless count at all. So he's probably not quite sure what to expect. So, but I'll make sure that I groom him between now and the end of December so he knows that it won't put us in any jeopardy. And their security that's supposed to come from LASA, that's something that we talked about. I talked about with them as far as enhancing that aspect, because I would just get our security that we already had that's familiar with our grounds to see if they could get paid for doing that job. But LASA is supposed to have their own security that comes, but I've noticed that they didn't always stay to the total end in which they should have. And so I'm always glad that I had that backup. Not only that, LAPD participate. Jisa, you had a question?
Yeah, I do. So actually, I have a concern. I totally want to volunteer, and I'm putting it out there. I'm volunteering for sure, but I just find it interesting that they're switching from paper clipboard to app-based, which I think is awesome. But I assume they did that, just to be sanitary for COVID. But are they still putting people in cars together? Because
well, that's what I'm trying. I'm only on page 16 of 24 on this presentation. So let's see if it tells us or not. I think you're encouraging people to arrive in teams of people they already are with.
Right, exactly.
But but I want to say, let's go through the rest of this, because I think it says something about it later on in this.
Okay, because exposure is 15 minutes in an enclosed area. Like that's how they're doing it at schools, right? Like at my daughter's school, she was exposed because she was in a classroom for more than 15 minutes with a child who tested positive. So it's January, it's flu season. Who knows what the COVID numbers are going to be? I just see that as a recipe for disaster.
Okay, well, let's worry about those recipes for disasters at page 24, shall we?
Exactly.
Can I just let me just quickly go through the rest of this, because again, this is a voyage of discovery, and there is going to be a training video for volunteers, which might answer some of those questions as well.
Oh yeah, we always do a training that evening. So if I have to put a big screen up in the parking lot,
right? Like, well, it may be that it'll be posted. So,
right there.
Yeah, they're doing pilots through October and November, so that might answer some of the questions as well.
Right. Yeah. And remember, this is a brand new process, Lisa. So yeah, but the plan is to put people together that they know and come with the team already, which a lot of people do already.
Right. So we are indeed in SPA 6 South LA, and that happens on Thursday, January 27, which is to say this Homelessness Liaison Committee meeting won't be held that day. And yep. Got it. So it's a count team bubble, to Jisa's point. They're encouraging volunteers to sign up as teams and stay in their count team bubble with people they know. Now, I don't know how useful that is if they know people, but they haven't seen them in 18 months. meaning what they really should be saying is their quarantine bubble, if to the extent they have one. At USC, you've got people who do live together in suites or fraternities and sororities, so they are already in COVID bubbles, right? So that might be the way to go on this, more so than usual years. And they're saying you can still join a team at the deployment site, but I hear what Jesus said. That doesn't seem like a smart idea.
Well, it is still going to happen. There's people that are not that fearful, and there's a lot of people that are together a lot that we don't know. They don't have to live with each other, but there's a lot of people that are together a lot. So, and that still exists to this day. It's not going to change. So what I'm going to say is, Jisa, I'm going to go ahead and register tonight or tomorrow. Just go to theycountwillyou.org, and what we're going to have to do, Paula, do the same thing, Hugh, same thing. Let's register, test out the system. Now, what has happened in the past? I tell everyone, put in zip code 90018 as far as where you live. or, you know, so they can assign you or allow you to be assigned to Holman. So that's what we have to look at, because all the sites are not signed up yet. Because I know my pastor has not signed those papers yet. And so if it's there, then fine. Maybe the outreach pastor did it already. Oh my God, I forgot to send him the thing for tonight. I didn't get a chance to send a few people the invite for tonight, the agenda. So, but I keep them posted anyway. So that's what we're gonna do. Test it out so you can tell me what you think needs to be improved, and I'll look and see what I believe needs to be improved as far as the registration process, so we can get all people to come to our site. Because I know one year, whoever did the programming, oh my God, everybody was putting in their regular zip code where they lived, which was not always in our vicinity. Because so we have some people that come help us from the Culver City side, from, like I said, the USC area, from different areas. People just like to come do the count. And then sometimes we have so many people, I would send it to some of the people that didn't have enough to finish their maps. So as far as registration is concerned, we want to gear them to our area. So I want to see how it's set up this time where that's flexible.
Well, Tori, what I would like, you know, this is wearing the UNNC, I send out e-blast hat. It would be really, really, really good to know as soon as possible how many people are on a team.
Right.
Because I think the communications we would send out would be teams consist of 3 people or teams consist of 4 people, whatever that number is.
3 to 4.
But I would like it confirmed for this year in this technology in COVID. So get a confirmation for the 2022.
No, it's still gonna be the same, because people have to drive. The driver cannot be the navigator. The navigator can't be the driver. So it has to be at least 3 people, because you still have to have a counter. And best scenarios is you have that person who breaks who the consensus to get to a consensus if those 2 are not in agreement. So that's how it normally works efficiently. Now,
so,
that's why
but we're gonna,
Tori,
what I'm
I know what you're saying.
Well, for our communications, meaning we communicate from UNNC to stakeholders. So there's a myriad other communications that we are not involved in, but for our communications, I think we need to develop a message that says, sign up with your team. You'll be together in a cart, so you want to be sure that your teammates and you have are in agreement on your COVID protocols, that you're comfortable with each other or something to that effect. We'll come up with a message and get it out.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. After the 4 of us actually test the registration process.
Sure. Absolutely.
We'll do that. So Hugh, Gisa, and Paula, if you guys could register within the next 24 hours or so, and then email me back what if it went smooth, say it went smooth. If you need to make any kind of changes, let me know so I can talk to them and tell them how we're going to do it. Is that okay? Hello?
Yeah, they're all raising their hands up. If you can't, they're giving you a thumbs up.
Oh yeah, I can't see none of that. Okay, fine.
They're doing it in real life on the screen. They're not doing it with an emoji.
Okay. Oh, now I can see everybody. Yes. Okay. I had to move the screen over. Okay, so that sounds good. So within the next 24 hours, 48 hours, Laura, I'll get to you and we'll create a statement or something that can be blasted out. And then
and we'll promote it on our social, UNNC social media as well. So, I mean, it's a little early to do that on the
that's too early, because I need to talk to the pastor and stuff too and make sure we're meeting in the parking lot.
Right. Yeah. But I also want to get from whoever your contacts are, whoever, they must have a social media package at this point. Soon. And that's what we would also need to have, because that's what we would use for Facebook and Instagram. I mean, we could
Well,
write our own words, but the imaging would be theirs.
yeah, well, yeah, because normally I get I have a media packet and everything,
Right.
and I'm sure that hasn't changed, but there's a authorization that I usually get everybody to sign too, like a memorandum of the legalities and the liabilities or liability form.
Well,
So,
yeah, I'm not posting any of that. Let's just say that, not doing that.
yeah, no, I know that, but I'm just saying that's usually what I have that day. I usually have, so I'm gonna figure out. I still have to get on a couple of calls with them. Like I said, a lot of this is not finalized, but since they have the registration open, let's see what we can start doing, and we'll take it from there and adjust to the changes.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's that for right now.
Well, yeah, my point is kind of more basic. I don't know that Raheem and his team will properly be able to create the social media stuff. So let's get the toolkit. It's called, they always call it a toolkit. Let's just get the toolkit.
Oh yeah, we'll have all that. But right now we're just testing out the
Sure.
The registration.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll have something within the next 24 hours from our team here.
Yeah.
And then I'll call you and then we'll get the verbiage together.
Yeah. And noting that probably not starting promoting quite yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, once we get to promoting, then yeah, it goes pretty quick and people start signing up. And so we'll probably start doing that like after Thanksgiving.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but in the meantime, we still could put something on our website, let them know it's coming up, and put the button where they can do the "They Count With You" registration.
Okay.
With a blur instruction. So that'll be great. But okay, what else was on the agenda after this? Since
there's not a whole heck of a lot. It's just the all we had on the agenda was this, a round robin discussion on current issues and solutions, and then the old, the standard old business follow-up, if there is any, to previous items.
Well, our old business, anybody want to talk about last month's meeting? Hugh, did meet expectations? Did you get any solutions out of it? I know that we had already planned to, actually they called me, the office had called and we was gonna set up a meeting, and Hugh, I included you. So, but we'll see what becomes of that now, because that may have changed. So I'll talk to them this week and see, so we can get the details of what's going on,
Oh, Tori, don't talk to them on UNNC's behalf.
No. We talking about the count. We talking about homelessness. We talking about the
that's
gap.
cool. That's fine. Just don't. Yeah.
We talking on the topic. We already know.
All right.
The topic of homelessness goes way beyond UNNC, so we'll have to talk about it in details and see how they can still fill some of these gaps. Yeah. Yep. So that's we know that part. Unfortunately, right now. So it's 7:20, everyone. Any other concerns, questions? Hugh, could you hear me about the outcomes, or did you get anything that we could use out of the meeting from September?
I don't have anything.
Oh, okay. So you were good?
Yeah, just, the follow-up, like you said, let me know what they have planned.
Okay. Sounds good. Jisa? You good?
I'm good. I'm just sending you some pictures. My husband took them.
Oh, wonderful. All right.
They'll be coming via email.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I got a couple of calls, tonight Dorit had to go to the train station. Somebody, the usual that we usually have on screen, but we all talk amongst ourselves and we can always update each other what's going on and what they can do to assist and volunteer with some things that we need done along the way. So
yeah, I do have one little update, Tori.
okay.
Teresa Masonette and I met at the Gramercy Apartments, which is the new building on Washington between Wilton and Gramercy. We actually met with an ADA inspector and the building manager for our potential upcoming meetings whenever the heck we are back in person. But of interest to this topic, so half is senior housing, half is affordable, and the other half are also affordable, but formerly homeless seniors. So when the building was in design stage, it has very much reduced parking, but per the code. So I think it's like, well, it has underground parking. I think it's actually one space per unit. So it's not terribly reduced compared to some of the other ones now. But the point is, the original thought was that most of the parking would not really be used, or at least the parking related to the 32 units for the formerly homeless. But it turns out that it's all taken up because so many of the people who were formerly homeless actually still owned a car. May have been living in their cars. Yeah. So it's just the right amount of parking, which is good for them, but bad for the potential restaurant or providing parking to big community events, right? But so it's just interesting that just in this short period of time between design and finished construction, that the world has changed so much. And that may be kind of an issue for the homeless count, because if people are sleeping in cars in random places and it's not obvious, right? I don't, what we're mostly seeing is people on the street, meaning the mess of the encampments, but we may not be seeing the people who randomly sleep in their cars away from
that's not true. Apparently when they was in development stage, they didn't talk to the right people. And I'm gonna say that because it's always been the case that there's been people sleeping in their cars from the beginning.
That may be, yes, Tori, that may be true, but the developer is very experienced at building homeless housing for formerly homeless. This is a change, and they have said it's a change. In their experience, it is a change.
Exactly, their experience. So my point is, it's never changed, and it's always been that way. And so whether they're trying to get people to not drive, fine and dandy, but it's always been the same, where people live in their cars, and most of the people that I help are in their cars. And so I don't know who they talk to and who they interview with this particular development, but I don't know who they talk to. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But they should have been an expectancy of that. And then some of these places are saying, well, you cannot own a car. Well, that's just inhumane. So there's a lot of different things that are happening with these developers and this development process and all that. So Donna.
Sorry, it takes me forever to unmute. I agree with you. When we discussed the two buildings going up next to Johnny's Pastrami, Laura, you'll remember, they were saying car parking was unneeded, and they wanted to do 2 to 3 spaces for the entire building on both of those. I said that wouldn't even accommodate the visiting staff, occupational nurses or whatever, doctors. In addition, people have cars, and they want to cover their eyes and ears and pretend like it's not there, so they don't have to be responsible to provide. We fought that issue, Laura, you remember, over and over, because we knew better. And they're all going to be in the streets in the area close by, in the residential area.
Exactly.
And we have a lot of problems we're already having. So even in the building construction phase. So I agree, Tori, I agree, Laura, but it's not particularly new. Sorry.
No, not at all. But even when we voted on that building that was coming up on Pico and Crenshaw, and they said no parking, I said, "Are you serious? That's got to be a problem." And so I think I was probably the only one that voted against it, but I don't know. But that's not the reality of this world.
I couldn't vote, but I was backing you up.
Yes, I appreciate it. Because there's no way without parking. The majority of them are, all they have to do is look at safe parking. The third of people that's in there, and do a comparison. It's unrealistic, and it's all about them trying to minimize another step and encourage people to take public transportation, which is not gonna happen to the degree in which they wish it would happen. It may take another 50 years to get like New York or Chicago when it comes to public transportation.
Yeah, right.
It cuts their overhead. They don't want to have to pay for it.
Right, right.
I
Right.
wanted to say that as I think back, Laura, in the training, they talked about as you're surveying the area, you look for cars.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff in the car, the wheels are covered. So we did count cars that where it looked like people live in cars. Also, and the other point I wanted to make, though, the one thing that was disappointing to me about the count was when it was over, I never heard results. And I felt like as a volunteer, once the whole thing is over, they should have said, you know, this is the homeless count, this is the new number. I didn't know where to go, but I thought that it would just be given to me. So that was disappointing.
Oh, Paula, maybe you were not at one of the meetings, but I always talk about the results. The results are every May, but for 2020, for whatever reason, because of the pandemic, it still didn't come out in May. It came out in June or July. Okay. So it was way off from what it normally is. But every year I talk about the outcomes because I always ask them, can we get the results? But they're on the website and I always lead people there. And that's a given. So
and
it's always
the website is what?
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I'm going to pop this into the chat.
Yeah, pop it in there. Not that it was always what I thought it should be, but remember, it's an average. So say for instance, and there is a section in the training, Laura, ever since day one regarding cars and inhabitants. So from day one, it's always been a training about cars. So let's look at what numbers they came up with for 2020.
Yeah, and then that's what I just popped in.
Yeah, 2021 was just a shelter count. And so that's way off because a lot of the people wasn't in the shelters. And then Garcetti had put the park and recs into play. And that was one of the best systems that I had worked with them as far as referrals to different agencies from Park and Rec. And I may be saying it in reverse. It could be Rec and Parks, but whichever one's the city one. Because we took clothes and everything to the rec centers and they had the same staff and everything. And then all of a sudden, they stopped doing that and made it a COVID shelter. So I was like, my God. So it kind of switched up on us. So nothing was normal after 2020 at all. It didn't come up, Laura.
No, I wasn't sharing the screen. I just put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this is too complicated. I mean, I'm trying to pull anything up on their thing, and it's like my Wi-Fi doesn't appear to be strong enough because they're doing charts and maps and thises and that's, and so.
Oh yeah, it's usually just one thing with a circle. It's just, you can pull up LAHSA.org and then just scroll to that particular screen that has the circle.
Yeah, right. So that's what I'm saying. If you click on, if anybody wanted to click on the link I just put in the chat, there's lots of different, you can see the youth, you see people 55, you can see,
right.
But apparently I can't see it. I can only see the tabs, but I'm having trouble bringing it up. But we're having Wi-Fi issues. This seems to
Okay.
come and go, but at the moment it's come and it's not
Okay.
going. So,
Yeah. So,
but
yeah,
that
it's
link will take you to the all the charts and bells and whistles and.
yeah, Paula, you're gonna have a good old time looking at all the outcomes that potentially were.
Right. So that
But
brought up 2020 in lots of
Right.
different categories. And then one of the categories was 2021, shelter count or something like that, because they didn't do a
Right.
count in 2020.
Right. So yeah, don't go by the 2021 because it was strictly shelters, those who were in a shelter only. So they didn't even do a count of homeless for 2021. Because I mean,
Right.
I'm sure it is elevated so much. But
Yes.
some of the landlords that wasn't complying with what the city was saying, what the state was saying, what the world was saying. So that's going to be a whole nother can of worms of lawsuits and things that's going to happen regarding that. And so, I mean, it goes on and on. After 2020, nothing is business as usual. So, you just we'll have to look at things with a grain of salt for the most part and understand that these are all approximations. These are all averages. These are all, you just cannot take it at face value. So we'll have to see what happens this year and know that people are being placed, are being put in permanent housing, but then there's still a lot of gaps in the system. Like I said last month, I noticed that there's a lot of people that are coming here from out of town because of the weather, and they are getting placed in front of some of the people that have been here homeless for 12 years.
Wow.
So, so it's a lot of things that people don't see. That's why I said, let me get in there so I can see the reality of what's really going on. And that's what I see. I talked to a couple of girls about 3 weeks ago. One was from back east, one was from Midwest, and they just drove on out here with their stuff or got on the train, and lo and behold, they got placed already. So, but they came with a mission in mind, where a lot of people here don't even know how to navigate the system to get help. And that's where the advocacy comes in. Somebody needs to speak on their behalf. Like one of the girls the other day said, I can't find my bank card. Well, she has no clue how to get on the phone and even call the bank to even ask what the next step may be. So that's what I'm saying. So many people need that advocacy to assist and maneuver through these systems, because I had to go to Section 8 myself and ask them, why do I have a person here that's been on Section 8 for 12 years? Who is working these lists? Who's responsible for these lists? How many people have died on this list that you haven't moved off the list? Ask the questions, and like people like, wow, who's in charge of all this, right? That's a whole nother job in itself, where somebody needs to be accountable. The agencies need to be accountable to a hub where all the information can come, and you don't have these gaps that lapse in these systems that's falling apart and failing the people. So it's like, and I've seen it myself. I had 2 women who followed the instructions to the letter and had been homeless for I don't know how long. One was a former nurse, but they still could not break that system, that runaround track, the rabbit. What do you call it? The roller. What's those little vermin that roll on the wheel? What are they? Those little animals on the wheel. What are the things called? Hamsters. Yeah, the hamster wheel.
One of those.
Yeah, they go on in circles and circles and circles, because people keep giving them around. So finally, I've discovered, a plan that's helped a couple of people get into housing on a fast track system, and it worked so far. One guy, he got his own little duplex right next to somebody else, so it looked really nice. I said, "Oh, see," and he followed the instruction to the letter, but he got a place. But not all people have that capacity. Yes, Tisa.
So I just signed up under the they count will you, and it was easy peasy, just so you know.
Okay, so where did you get assigned to, easy peasy?
I got assigned to you at Holman.
Did you get assigned in a team or all by yourself?
Okay, so this was my question. So I noticed at the bottom, it said only 18 and older. So that eliminates my daughter and my husband, who will have to stay home with her because it's late at night, because she's only 12. But after I submitted, I was like, oh, I'll ask my girlfriend. And she said she wanted to. So I went back in to try, but I didn't want to sign myself up again.
Right.
Then it would mess up the count. So I don't know how to add her.
Therein lies the dilemma. So what happens is, I did that a couple of times. And I registered a couple of people who didn't use the computer or what have you. And see, every year, now I get her email. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't want the email. So I said, well, maybe everybody has an email on their phone, hopefully now. And so try to register her, but use her email address.
Well, I can go in and register her and use her information, but then she won't be connected to me, right?
Right.
Well, that's exactly right, but she'll be at the site and you guys will be capable of connecting yourselves.
Right.
Okay,
So
I'll do that.
Tori, but Tori, do you talk to the people who are organizing all of this?
yes.
So why not, because it's still plenty of time to fix this. Can they not add an automatic email in the email confirmation that presumably they send out at some point saying, hey, you signed up, are you still doing it? Can't they add to that? Do you have team members you wish to work with? Can you just ask them if they could?
I'll ask, but back to the other statement you made, Lisa. They've always had that 18 and under rule, but there's always somebody that brings the under 18. So as long as that parent is with that child, but what I would do, I assign the child to be in charge of the flashlights. So the child has to hand the flashlights or put them in order of 2 or 3 for me, and then we distribute them. So yeah, the child always have something to do if they show up with me.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I want to say something, Tori, because I know Jesus' daughter. Jesus' daughter would make Jisa be in charge of the flashlights because she's a little bit bossy and wants a more important role. Do you agree with me?
Oh my God. You know what? I can see that, a 12-year-old, but keep in mind.
No, she's been like that since she was 4 years old. I'm just telling you.
Laura hasn't seen her in years, right, Laura?
But it doesn't matter because I know this girl. I mean, so Tori, she used to she volunteers with us on an event, and I'm from the beginning. She was in charge of the songs for the Christmas carols, and she instructed the pianist when he was to play and when he was not, and she was 4 years old.
Yeah, she's actually mellowed out, to be honest.
Well, I've probably seen her in the past, but what I'm saying is keep in mind that that's all relative because you're gonna be in your own car.
Right.
And I'm sure she'll be a good counter.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. She won't want to be in charge of the flashlights.
Yeah, okay. And then I'm just saying.
She'll want a more like a harder job.
Exactly.
Oh, well, okay. And I'm sure she would relate
like driving everybody around.
Right.
Making the maps and driving.
That is funny. Well, trust me, I know at 12, I was kind of like that. I know that I can put some sheets in order, some forms and everything else. So yeah, we'll see. I'm sure she could be utilized. So don't tell husband he could come and she could come too, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in your own car. And she could be very instrumental as far as a tiebreaker or something. You never know. She may see somebody in the car move that you didn't see. You know, there's things, observation is very key in this particular endeavor. So we just want to make sure all is well. And yeah, that 18 and under, it's always been there, but it's always been where a person didn't have a babysitter. let the child get the experience. Long as the parents in charge, I'm good. You know,
Okay,
long
Tori,
as,
how long does it go? Like, I know it says 8 to 1 a.m. Obviously, she's got school the next day. How long does like the first, like if I included her in the first map and then she and David could go and my friend and I can continue.
yeah,
How
that's
long?
fine. It depends. That depends on the team. Some are
Okay,
fast and some are used to doing this, and somebody could count real quick. But if you're
okay,
sitting there with a team that says, no, it was 10. Oh, no, I saw 12. If you got a team that's sitting there doing all that and you don't have nobody that's going to tie break for you, then that'll be a whole nother story. So,
okay.
so it's all relevant to your capability or what it is, how well your team works together. I've been fortunate over all the years. I've only had one team that said, I am not going back out with them anymore. so so it's like, oh my goodness. And so I realized what the problem was, and I set the one guy to the side and put him with somebody else. And then the other team went back out again and did what they had to do and picked up another person. So I'm good at putting these people together and putting everybody together to work well together. And we just have a good, fun night. We usually have appetizers and hors d'oeuvres too. So I have to just set up a table outside, I guess. I don't know how we're going to do it this time, but it'll work out.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for that info.
Well, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, just as long as she's with you, that's fine. And it's not like you have to be separated from her or anything like that. Tell her I'm sure I can help. I use her help, I'm sure. There's always a lot to do that day. Yep.
So, Tori, are we almost done? Because I have to run upstairs, which I can do without.
Actually, we are. It's what, a
Okay.
quarter to 8, 7:44. So
All right.
maybe if there's no further questions or concerns, Jesus already registered, and I'm gonna go ahead and register, and Paula and Hugh will do their part, and then we'll have questions to take back and see if their programmer can make it more enhanced. So we'll take it from there. Thank you, Jesus.
One last thing, for those who didn't read the full agenda, next meeting, November 18th, 6
Oh
o'clock.
yeah, Thanksgiving, huh?
Right. So you got, yeah, so it's at 6 o'clock on the third Thursday. And the reason it's early is because communications committee meets at 8 o'clock that third Thursday. So
Right, and Thanksgiving is on our day.
right. Right. Well, yeah, but I mean, I think, based on the calendar, it's December. I mean, we're going to have to kind of juggle a little. I mean, December, the fourth Thursday is the 23rd, which is fine with me. I mean, it's not a holiday. It's the day before Christmas, but you guys will need to just, well, you'll just have to decide, because it seems like reasonable to have that. But then the January one is the night of the homeless count. So,
oh yeah, we can't do that. That'll be our meeting, the homeless count.
well, it could be. I mean, it could be. I mean, this, casually you could make it in lieu of, as opposed to having a meeting, because you can meet up there and cheat whatever the rule is with the done, because you can be in person for a minute, frankly.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Well,
we'll talk about that in December.
You'll talk about it, but I'm just saying the calendar becomes weird, unfortunately, for that fourth Thursday.
Oh yeah, but that's every year. You know that every year. So
I do.
Yeah, so just the main thing right now is the third Thursday at 6 o'clock is the next meeting.
Right. Thank you, Hugh.
Okay. Thank you, Hugh. Okay, Paula, anybody last minute comments?
Good night.
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 Good night.
Well, we officially
Thank
adjourned.
you.
7:46. Okay. You're welcome. Good
Bye-bye.
night. Thanks, Laura.
I'm ending it now.